Good afternoon to all my fellow classmates and teachers. My name is Royaano Rumajogee and I am from Class 2 Jingga in SMK Taman Pelangi. Today, me and my friends are gonna perform a theatrical dramatic reading based on a novel named Moby. The author of the novel is Herman Melville. This is chapter 1. He is out there in the ocean, but he is here too, in my dreams, always in my dreams. He will never leave me. He is whiter than the first beautiful snow in winter, whiter than the stars in the sky on a warm summer's night. But he brings only death. He is Moby Dick, the white whale. My name is Ishmael and this is my story. I'm a sailor and I work on different ships. I love my life on the ocean. It's sometimes dangerous but never boring. I feel sad when I'm not on the ship. One November day I thought, I want to work on a whaling ship. Why did I want to be a whaler? I can't tell you. The life of a whaler is very dangerous. The men are away from their homes and families for years. Many never come back. Their wives wait at home. They stand and look at the ocean with sad eyes. But I wanted to visit exciting new places, and I wanted to see the whales. The first American whalers sailed from the town of Nantucket, so I went there too. I arrived on a cold, dark night and looked for a room. I was tired, so I went into the first place. The men inside drank and talked loudly. A large man with a red face stood behind the bar. Do you have a room for tonight? I asked him. Our rooms are full, he said. The men are here for the whaling ships. I'll have to put you in a room with Queequeg. Then he smiled and looked around at the other men. Who's Queequeg? Where is he? I asked. Oh, he's a whaler. He's out now, but he'll be back later, said the man. Then he smiled again, and the other men laughed loudly. I didn't understand, but I was very tired, so I went to the room and got into bed. I fell asleep very quickly. A noise outside the door woke me up. I opened my eyes, but I didn't speak. The door opened and a man came in. It was dark, so I couldn't see him well. Then he lighted a fire in the fireplace. When I saw him in the light of the fire, I sat up. He was a huge man and very ugly. He had black lines all over his face and body, and almost no hair on his head. He wore a strange skirt and no other clothes. The huge man suddenly jumped onto my bed. Help! I shouted. Help! The barman ran in. Stop, Queequeg. This man wants a bed for tonight. He is sleeping here. Then he turned to me. This is Queequeg, the finest whaler on the ocean. Don't be afraid, he won't hurt you. He laughed and left us. After he left, we were very quiet. I'm sorry, I said. I too, Queequeg said. His English was slow and careful. We began to talk, then we couldn't stop. Queequeg listened to my life story and I listened to his. He came from Kokovoko, a long way away in the Pacific Ocean. He had a good life because his father was an important man, but Queequeg wanted to see the world. So he left his home and sailed away in a small boat. A whaling ship found him and gave him work. Queequeg was strong and quick, so he was a fine whaler now. He never went home. When the morning came, we were great friends. Queequeg stood up and shouted, You will find us a whaling ship today. You and I will sail around the world. And do you know something? He was right. Queequeg knew because he could see the future. I learned this later. He was a strange and wonderful new friend. Thank you. Stay safe, everyone.
Chapter 2. We found our ship. That morning, I looked around Nantucket for a good whaling ship. I stopped looking when I saw the Pequod. It was tall and strong. Its wood was dark from many years on the wild ocean. I went onto a ship. A man sat at the table with a big book in front of him. He wore a long black coat and a black hat. He didn't smile. This is a fine ship, and I want to go whaling with you. Where do I write my name, Captain? I asked happily. I'm not the captain. Captain Ahab is sick. He's down below. I'm Starbuck. Are you a whaler? He asked. No, but I'm a good sailor, I answered. You can ask the captains of my other ship. I am not interested in your captains or in your ship, he said. Sailing is not whaling. Whaling is hard life. You will be away from your home for many years. The work is difficult. You have to be strong and fast, and it's very dangerous. I want to learn and I want to see the world, I said. Oh, you will see the world. You will see more, good and bad, some very bad things. He looked at me for a minute, then he said again, I'll tell you about whaling. Captain Ahab has only one leg, and do you know why? Because a whale took his other leg. A huge one took his. I said nothing. What could I say? So you want to be a whaler on Captain Ahab's ship? Can you look into the eye of a whale? Can you stand in front of its huge mouth and throw your harpoon? I can and I will, I shouted. I'm not afraid and I'm a good sailor. You'll see. This is my left hand and I. He stopped me and turned the book around. Write your name here, he said. His eyes were tired. Thank you. You won't be sorry, I said. Don't forget my words, he answered. I have a friend. He's a good whaler, I said. You'll see. Bring him tomorrow, said Starbuck. Cricket and I went to the piquet the next day. The man on the ship laughed at his huge, ugly man. Cricket didn't say anything. He looked down at the water from the ship. Then he turned and spoke to the man. Do you see the bird? He asked. The man looked, but they couldn't see anything. There, said Cricket. The man looked carefully this time and saw a small dead bird a long way from the water. That bird is the whale's eye, said Cricket. He threw the harpoon and hit the bird. Now, that whale is dead, he said. The men were quiet. Cricket was better than every other man on the ship, and so Pequod and two new whalers. We went to our room and got our things. An old man stopped us on a street before we got back to the Pequod. Are you sailing with Captain Ahab? Do you know him? He asked. Yes, we're sailing with him. He's sick now, but we'll meet him later, I answered. Sick? He shouted. Yes, he's sick, man. He's the devil. I'm Elijah, he answered. Why do you say this about Captain Ahab? Men say that he's a good whaler. He knows the ocean. They're right, answered the man quietly. Then his eyes turned big and wide. But he's the devil. I sailed him. I know, and his men were the devil's helpers. He looked at me strangely. He only has one leg. Do you know Captain Ahab's story? I suddenly felt afraid. Of course we do, I said. I turned to Cricket. Come, my friend, I said. Let's leave this crazy old man. And we went quickly to the ship. We sailed on Christmas morning. Captain Ahab didn't come up and meet the whalers, but every night we heard him. We walked up and down, up and down. One night we heard Starbuck speak. Please, Captain, stop your walking, your man. No, I can't sleep, so my men won't sleep. They can think of whales in their beds. Dead whales. Yeah, that's their job, shouted Captain Ahab. I thought of Elijah's word, the devil's helpers. Were the men of the Pequod devils. They were unhappy Starbuck. Then there was a Stubb. He was very different. He always laughed and told funny stories. From my bed, I looked around my neighbors. Bildad, Testigo, Dago, Flax, Maxman, and the other whalers. They were from many different countries and had interesting stories. They weren't all good men, but they weren't devils. Who were Captain Ahab's devils?
Hi everyone, today I'm going to read chapter 3 about Captain Ahab's story. For 3 weeks, Captain Ahab stayed below, then one day suddenly he was there in front of us. He was a thin man, but he was strong. He had a hard face with lines on it from years of sun and wine. His hair was grey and wild. His clothes were black. Then I saw it his white whalebone leg, and an ugly white line ran down from the top of his head. Did it go down to his feet? Who or what did that to him? What fight did he lose so badly? He stood and looked at us with angry eyes. What do you do when you see a whale? He suddenly shouted. Shout, sir, answered the man. Good, look at this. He showed us some gold. I want one whale, a white whale. One of you will see this whale first. That man will get this gold. We stood quietly. Whalers don't make much money. We thought about the gold. We could buy a lot of nice things with it. You will know him when you see him, said Captain Ahab. He's the biggest whale in this ocean. I saw this whale, said Quick to me. He is a mountain, very big, very strong. I put my hand point in him. He got away. I have to find this whale. I will find him, shouted Captain Ahab. Are you talking about Moby Dick? asked Thursday. Yes, answered Captain Ahab. Moby Dick took your leg, said Starbuck quietly. Captain Ahab shouted angrily at Starbuck. Yes, he took my leg. He took half of me. Now I'm a half man, and Moby Dick will pay for this. I will follow him to South America, to Africa. I will follow him to the end of this world. I will see him back. He turned to the others whale. Are you with me, man? Yes, they shouted. They were excited. They shot the gold. They shouted and laughed. Only Starbuck stood quietly. His face was as dark as the sky before its rays. What's your problem? Captain Ahab asked him angrily. Then he smiled. It's too dangerous. Is that your problem? Is that the problem? Later, that same night, the men were asleep and the ship was quiet. I was outside with Pip, the little cook boy. We had to put water out for the next day wailing. Listen, said Pip. Can you hear that? I hear, man. The whalers were at the other end of the ship. There was nobody there. I don't hear anything, I said. No, listen, said Pip. There are men below us, 5 or 6 of them. Can you hear them? It's the ocean. Pip is playing games with you. I answered. I have good ears, said Pip. He was angry with me and walked away. I watched him go. Then I sat and looked up at the star. I dream of the white whale. I dream of gold. He took half of me. Now I'm half a man, and Moby Dick will pay for this. I will follow him to South America, to Africa. I will follow him to the end of this world. I will see him there. He turned to the other whalers. Are you with me, man? Yes, they shouted. They were excited. They saw the gold. They shouted and laughed. Only Starbuck stood quietly. His face was as dark as the sky before its rain. What's your problem? Captain Ahab asked him angrily. Then he smiled. It's too dangerous. Is that the problem? I'm not afraid of dangerous work, answered Starbuck. But I work for the whale oil. I fight whales for their oil, for money. You hate this whale? How much oil will that bring you? How much money? When I kill Moby Dick, I will be rich in here, shouted Captain Ahab, and he hit his body with his hand. He turned and started to walk away. Are you going to follow this animal because it won a fight with you? It's wrong. It's crazy, shouted Starbuck. When he heard this, Captain Ahab turned on his whalebone leg. He was angry now, and he shouted in Starbuck's face. This whale is evil. Do you understand? White is the color of ice, and ice takes strong ships down under the water. White is the color of a man's eyes when he can't see. White is the color of that man. White is evil, and this whale is evil. He's laughing at me. I will only be free when this evil is dead. Dead! The color left Starbuck's face. He was the loser of this fight, and Captain Ahab knew it. He turned to the man again. Dream. That to Moby Dick, he shouted. The men put their handpans up high and shouted too. Then they drank and danced.
Chapter 4. Our First Whale.
"Whale!" shouted Tashtego from the top of the ship. "Whale!" Captain Ahab came quickly. "Get the boats!" he shouted. The whale sent a shower of water up into the sky. Suddenly 5 men came from below and stood by Captain Ahab. Their faces were dark and they had long black hair. They wore strange white pants and no shirts or shoes. One of the men was older. He was darker and only had one tooth. He wore a strange white hat so we couldn't see his hair. His black eyes looked only at Captain Ahab. These were Captain Ahab's devils. "Fedora, go!" Captain Ahab shouted to his men. 3 small boats went down into the water. Captain Ahab's men came too, in their boat. His men were strong and their boat quickly sailed in front of ours. I turned to Pip. "I understand now. These are the men. You heard them speaking before." "I told you!" Pip shouted back. "Stop talking and row!" shouted Stubb from the back. "Do you think this is a tea party?" Stubb always shouted at us, but we were never afraid of him. He always had a smile on his face. Starbuck was the captain of our small boat. He didn't talk to us, but we heard him say quietly, "Who are those men? What's Captain Ahab doing?" Captain Ahab shouted to his boat from the peacock, but his men only had ears for Fedora. Their eyes never fed Fedora's face, and their boat went faster and faster. This was my first whale. Maybe we'll kill it. I thought I was excited. Every whaler was excited. But why weren't we afraid? Because our heads were full of money, all gold. The sky suddenly turned dark with rain, but we didn't go back. "We have time. We can kill a whale before the rain comes," said Starbuck. Quick-Quack stood ready with his harpoon in the front of our boat. Suddenly the whale was there again. It came up out of the water under our boat. Men and harpoons went everywhere. Then the heavy rain came. In minutes our boat was full of water. Strong winds took our sails down. The whale left us and swam down into the dark water. After some time the wind stopped. We waited and day turned to night. We couldn't see anything. Where we are? Were we the other boats? The men weren't angry with Starbuck. The weather can play games with the best sailors. More hours came and went. We were wet, tired, and afraid. Then we saw a large black thing in the water. Was it the whale again? No, it was the peacock, but the men couldn't see us. "It's going to hit us!" shouted Stubb. We jumped into the ocean and began to shout for help. When the men on the peacock heard us, they put ropes down. Then they helped us onto the ship. The other men were there, Captain Ahab's men too. They turned back when they didn't see the white whale.
Chapter 5. The Albatross and Samuel and the Bee. We fought and killed many whales after that first night. But our work didn't finish when we killed them. We then had to climb down onto the dead whale and cut off the fat. We had to work quickly because sharks came for the whale meat. Sharks could eat a whale in one night. and some of these whales were almost as big as our ship. We cut off large squares of fat and pulled these squares onto the ship. This was a long, hard job. It was also dangerous because sharks swam around us. We then cooked the fat and made oil. When the oil was ready, we put it onto barrels. Oil gave us light and made us warm. We could sell it to the people around the world. Oil was our money. But did this make Captain Ahab happy? No, the money wasn't important to him. He only thought about Moby Dick. He could only hate. He stood for hours in the ship, in the rain, in the snow, and looked at the ocean. When other ships went past, he didn't ask them, "How are you? Do you need help?" He only asked, "Did you see the white whale?" One day we met the albatross. It was on its trip home after 4 long years on the ocean. The ship and its whalers looked ready for home. The men were tired and thin with large, hungry eyes. The wind was strong that day, so the albatross couldn't come near us. But the captain put his hand up and smiled. Captain Ahab shouted from the parquet, "Did you see the white whale?" The captain shouted his answer, but the wind carried his words away. Captain Ahab put his hand behind his ears, but he couldn't hear the captain. "Ah, the wind!" he shouted. "Listen! Tell people at home we're sailing around the world. We'll bring back the teeth of the devil whale." Starbuck stood and watched the Captain Ahab. "Is he forgetting his wife and child at home?" he said to me. "Wife and child?" I asked. Did Captain Ahab really have a family? "Oh yes, his family is waiting for him," said Starbuck. "And my family is waiting for me. Every day, my wife, Mary, takes our son to the beach. They look at the ocean. They hope that they will see our sails one day." I thought about other men on our ship. How many of these men had family? What did they leave behind them when they went on the whaling ships? Who waited for them? Nobody waited for me, I thought. I want a wife and a child. I'd like to go home to them. Day after day, nothing changed. Captain Ahab always asked other ships about the white whale. Some captain knew about Moby Dick. Some laughed at Captain Ahab. "Moby Dick is only a whale story, nothing more," they said. Then one day, we met Samuel and the boy. The ocean was quiet and the captain, Captain Boomer, came onto our ship. He was a friendly man and smiled at us. He had only one arm. "Did Moby Dick take your arm?" the Captain Ahab asked excitedly. "Yes, I lost my arm to the whale," the captain answered. The Captain Ahab's face lit up. He was happy. "Come with me. The white whale devil will pay for your arm and my leg," he shouted happily. Oh no, I can't do that, the captain answered. One arm is better than no arm or legs. I want my life. I'll leave Moby Dick in the ocean. Leave him, shouted Captain Ahab. He turned his back to Captain Boomer for a minute. Then he turned around and shouted at him, Get off my ship! Then, You're afraid. I'm not afraid. I'll find Moby Dick. I'll look at him in the eyes and I'll kill him. The smile left Captain Boomer's face. I hope for you and for your men that you never find Moby Dick. And without any word, he left our ship.